Hey everyone, how's it going? Matthew Bailey here, and welcome to another rankings video. And I am not going to be the only one that shows up in this video, because in a little bit I will have a surprise guest show up. And if you are a fan of him and love his channel, then you will recognize him when you first see him. But we will be doing our picks, our ranking of the top best movies we thought were great this year. However, we're only going to do the first half of the year, from January until at least June or July. So and we'll add our list up together, and then we'll figure out which one we deserve should be in that spot. But anyways, as always, I will see you all in a little bit. Surprise guest appearance by Matthew Davis Media. Hey everyone, I'm Bax, and as you can tell from the beginning of the video, I have my friend Matthew Davis Media here.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Matthew Davis Media once again.
Yeah, that's his intro for his videos. But so, as I said at the beginning of the video, each of us are going to be doing 6 films that we have seen during the first half of the year that we thought were the best out of all the films we saw during the first half. So I'll probably start, and then he'll do his number 6, and then we'll keep going until we get to 1. So without further ado, let's get into it. So for my number 6, I would have to go with Christopher Robin. Yeah, I gotta say, I mean, I didn't really see it in the theaters, but I at least got to see it on DVD. And honestly, I feel like this was a pretty interesting movie. The fact that they show Christopher Robin grown up, and somehow his friends from 100 Acre Wood are still at their same age. Whatever. I mean, what did you think of the movies?
I thought it was pretty solid. I mean, I didn't really expect much going into a live-action Winnie the Pooh movie, but I think the way I mean, I do have some issues with it, but all in all, I thought it was definitely not one of those terrible live-action cash grab movies. I think for the most part, it was charming enough. I thought it was really cool to see a live-action Winnie the Pooh, basically in the style of how you see in the books.
Yeah, that makes total sense, because like that was the first ever one they actually did that was live-action, and it really surprised both of us that they did it in live-action.
Yeah. Well, I definitely wouldn't call it one of my favorites of the year. I could say it's definitely, I think it's better than A Wrinkle in Time and Nutcracker. I can definitely say that.
Yeah, I'm with you there. So, for my number 6, I would say Christopher Robin.
Alright, for my number 6 of, now this isn't a movie that I think is going to be on my best of the year on my channel, but I'm still going to put it anyway because I thought this was a really solid sequel, and that is Deadpool 2. And I'm not just mentioning this because there's a PG-13 one released in the theaters that was just made to cash in, but Deadpool 2, I can say it was really surprising. I mean, I thought the first movie was a lot of fun, and I can say there are some moments that I thought were a bit funnier than some of the stuff in the first film, but all in all, I think it's definitely worth watching if you're a fan of the first Deadpool movie. And all in all, it's very well paced, and for the most part, there are some very comedic moments. Oh, and by the way, best mid-credit scene ever put in a Marvel film, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't even know if this showed up in the sequel, but there was one scene that I saw in the trailer where he was saying, "Smells like old lady in here," or whatever. Was that in the sequel, or was that in the first one?
I can't remember. I've only seen the sequel one time, but I'm planning on getting it on Blu-ray for Christmas, so I don't know. There's a blind old woman in the first and second movie. So.
But apparently she wasn't deaf, because after he said that in the trailer, she's like, "Why you're so rude?" As if she was a hipster.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so your number 6 would be Deadpool 2?
Yeah.
Alright. So, from me on number 5, I would have to go with Ready Player One. Yes, I mean, even though I only saw it on DVD as well, I still was pretty surprised at this movie. I mean, because you were the one who actually told me I should really actually see it, and
Yeah.
I never got a chance to see it in theaters. But when I saw it on DVD, it was worth having to pay not as much money to see it on DVD. I mean, and what were your favorite moments of the movie?
Well, okay, this is definitely going to be some spoilers, but it won't.
Spoiler warning in case y'all don't want to know.
I wouldn't. I mean, I wouldn't say it's that much of a big deal since it's out on Blu-ray now and you can watch it there. But anyways, some of my favorite moments were I definitely love the scene with The Shining where they did they even mentioned how Stephen King hated the adaptation of his work, and oh yeah, also they have a brief mention of games in the past like GoldenEye for the N64.
I think Overwatch was some characters in there.
Yeah, Overwatch. There was Tracer, which was also shown in the trailer. Chucky. Oh, and
yeah, that was surprising to me. I didn't know Chucky was even going to show up in this movie.
Oh,
he's a rated R character.
Yeah. Also, I really enjoyed. It took me back on my. The movie near the end took me back to one of the most nostalgic games for me, which is Adventure on the Atari 2600. I remember playing that game. In fact, I still have a cartridge of the game. I think it's gotten more expensive since it was shown in the movie, but all in all, I can say for the most part, I had so much fun with it. It definitely filled me with so much nostalgia from the past, like the Iron Giant and other stuff too. All in all, I had a lot of fun with Ready Player One.
Yeah, and I honestly would be interested to see if they ever make a sequel to that. Would you?
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay, so for my number 5, I would have to go with Isle of Dogs. This is a film I've been looking forward to ever since September. The trailer really interested me because I loved Fantastic Mr. Fox, and when I heard that Wes Anderson was doing another animated movie, I was really looking forward to it, and luckily it did not disappoint for me. I thought it had a lot of heart, it had a lot of charm, it was very funny, and for it to get away with a lot for its PG-13 rating was really surprising. I mean, I was just so intrigued throughout the entire film, and it was great to see on the big screen. The animation was absolutely outstanding. Knowing that it's an hour and 40 minutes of course, plus credits, of just thousands and thousands of frames being put into this film, I just thought it was absolutely outstanding to see, and I thought it had some very memorable characters. It had a great cast, including Bill Murray, Brian, I forgot what his name was, but anyways, and other actors as well. I can say it's definitely one of my favorite animated films of the year, and I can certainly say that it's definitely one of Wes Anderson's best films of the year.
Alright, so for number 4, for me, we both agreed that it would seem Ant-Man and the Wasp would be put at number 4 for me, because honestly, it really interested me on how he got out of the prison after Captain America Civil War. I mean, the fact that he was somehow put on probation. No, was it probation? No, it was house arrest. But somehow he was easily able to fool them when he was out of his house doing stuff for Hope Van Dyne and Hank Pym, and by the time he actually got his angle thing off, he already saw most of the world. And the thing I liked that was mostly comedic was all those card tricks he did, whatever, and how the detective was all like, "How did you do that?" Like, and there was a lot of comedic moments in this movie. I mean, one of my favorites was that same scene when he asked how he did it, where his daughter says, Hank Pym and Hope Van Dyne hit his guts, and he's like, thanks, Peanut. And that was just so hilarious. But she just said they hit his guts. I mean, what was your favorite comedic part of the movie?
I could have sworn I remembered, but honestly, I don't really know. There was a lot of funny scenes, but I guess it would have to be the one where his like thing got messed up, and then he became short.
Oh yeah, and then Hope was like, "If only Cap could see you now."
Yeah,
that was actually pretty funny. And especially in that same scene when he was trying to hop up to get the book bag, and Hope was acting like his mother, saying, "You can do it." And, yeah, that was pretty hilarious. I mean, even Hank Pym joined in when he got in the car, and he's like, "How was school today, champ?" I know, that was just... I could never stop laughing after I saw that scene.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so for number 4, I would have to go with Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Alright, now for my number 4 pick, I would have to go with Annihilation, Alex Garland's new film after Ex Machina. I was getting a little nervous going in because, or at least when I heard that it was going to be released on Netflix in another country, but luckily I got to see it in the theaters, and this movie really, really impressed me. I mean, I was already excited for it ever since I saw the trailer, but when watching it, I think Natalie Portman delivers one of her best performances. In fact, it probably is my favorite performance from her. I mean, besides Black Swan. Anyways, the movie looks absolutely gorgeous. I thought the way mixture of some CGI and practical effects, I think it works very well. It's both a mixture of sci-fi and horror, mostly on the sci-fi element. Alex Garland, I think, is delivering like a very strong message that might be confusing once you watch it, especially towards the end. But all in all, I think it's definitely worth watching, especially worth watching multiple viewings. I've viewed it a couple times, once in the theaters, once on Blu-ray, and in all honesty, I think nearly everything about this movie has really impressed me. It's what a sci-fi film should be. It should intrigue you. It should mess with your mind. By the way, I think it has one of the best soundtracks of the year, and that's why Annihilation makes it this high for me.
So for number 3 for me, I had to say, even though it took almost a decade and a half for this movie to get released, I would have to go with Incredibles 2. I mean, can you believe it took them 14 years to release a sequel to that? And I remember how in your videos about it, you said after 2 sequels to Cars that nobody wanted, especially the second one specifically. The third one was okay, but and then after a sequel to Finding Dory, after a prequel to Monsters Inc.
Third Toy Story movie.
Yeah, third Toy Story movie. What else was there? I think this was by Pixar, but what did I say? Was Zootopia by Pixar?
No.
I don't think it was. Yeah, but I know there was 2 Cars sequels. There was the prequel to Monsters Inc., sequel to Finding Dory, Toy Story. I mean, it was just... Oh, and plus, I think you also have Coco in there too. And even though that was mostly... I feel like Coco was mostly copying the Book of Life. When it comes to like the Day of the Dead and...
Well, it's not. It wasn't trying to be a rip-off or anything like that. It definitely had more of a strong message in that one.
Yeah, than it did in the Book of Life.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Incredibles 2, I thought it really was worth the wait. I mean, I really hope that they don't do the same thing for Incredibles 3, though, when they take such a long time to release it. Because I heard that's been confirmed, is in Incredibles 3. And I wonder how they're going to treat that movie. I mean, honestly, I was in complete shock with this movie. I mean, there was twists and turns at every corner. Like, you think, like I said, this video does contain spoilers, but the main antagonist of the film is considered to be the Screenslaver. And there was a shocking twist near the end of the movie that I think it surprised both of us, right? When it comes to who the actual Screenslaver really was, or the actual antagonist was. I mean, it was just... I can say, I mean, what was, besides the main villain, like, what were your best moments of the movie that you saw?
I definitely think it had, I think it had a lot of better times with the family, better family moments where Bob is watching after the kids, like...
Yeah, finding out about Jack's powers.
Yeah, Violet with her relationship with Tony Reidinger.
Yeah, and the fact that she had to redo that all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty ironic that she just got to know him and she changed her look, and then now all of a sudden she has to do it again.
Yeah.
And I understand how this movie goes when it comes to other characters like Dicker, the agent that that looked after Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl. I heard that the guy who actually voiced him in the first movie passed away a few months before the release of the film, and so they had to get someone else to do it. But they dedicated this movie toward him based on how well he did voicing the character in the first movie. And the guy who did take his place almost kind of sounded identical. I mean, I don't know if they were related or not, but I gotta say, he did a good job in honor of the guy who originally voiced him. And it did kind of come as a shock to me when the girl who voiced Violet was actually already in her close to her 30s when she voiced Violet, even in the first movie. Like, that was totally surprising to me. And they didn't even have the same voice actor for Dash in both movies. I mean, by the time this kid would have gotten in the sequel, the guy who voiced him in the first movie, he still probably would have done okay if he voiced Dash again. And on both movies, I gotta say, the one character in the movie that really shocked me as to who voiced them was Edna Mode. The fact that she was voiced by a guy really shocked me.
Yeah, the director, Brad Bird.
Yeah, I was in total shock. Once I heard about the sequel, I looked at the movie again, the first movie, and then I realized in the casting list that the director was actually the voice of her, and I'm like, what? I mean, that totally shocked me. And the fact that he was doing it again in this movie was, I mean, I gotta say, Incredibles 2 was definitely worth the wait, and I just hope they don't take as long to release the third movie. But yeah, Incredibles 2 would be my number 3.
Alright, for mine, it would definitely have to be Hereditary. Hereditary was a horror film that I was really looking forward to. The trailer really intrigued me. It looked like it could be something that, has been done before, but it looked like a great take on the horror genre, and luckily it does. It has so many twists and turns, and I think it's a great horror film that does not rely on jump scares whatsoever. It's very dramatic, it's very well acted, it is very disturbing, especially towards like the first half and near the end of the film. It just offers so much to the film that is just absolutely insane that they would actually get away with it.
And if I could say just one thing, when you mentioned that it was a horror film, I don't know if any of y'all are fans of his channel and you have subscribed to me before, y'all may notice that whenever I do reactions or reviews to movies, none of them are based on horror. And that's because I actually do not like horror movies, just in my opinion. But if y'all like horror movies and just like he does, then that's totally okay.
Yeah, I actually have a top 10 horror films of 2018 list coming around the corner on my channel, so you can check that out real soon if you subscribe. But anyways, back to Hereditary. I can say this is definitely probably my favorite horror film from director A24. And all in all, if you're A24's horror films are actually kind of divisive, but I can say that audiences definitely like this more than, I would have to say, The Witch or It Comes at Night. But yeah, definitely watch this if you're a fan of horror.
And now on to number 2 for us. From my number 2, we both kind of enjoyed this film and we went to see it in the theaters, especially because it got pushed forward, whatever, so it got released earlier than expected, and that was Avengers Infinity War, the third installment in the Avengers series. And I gotta say, I was surprised at how many characters they were able to squeeze into this movie, how many different plots were in it, and I assume most of you have already seen Infinity War, so this isn't really kind of spoilerish, but a lot of us were devastated after how many people got dusted from Thanos' snap. And the fact that I recently found out they did that and only left the old characters from the first Avengers movie was apparently there was a reason why they didn't dust any of the old characters from the first Avengers movie, because it turns out they have something big going on for when Avengers Endgame comes out. That is the name of the 4th movie. We finally got the trailer to it. You can actually watch my reaction in the list of videos. Actually, I think it's the one right before this video. But what was your favorite moments of Avengers 4 besides what I said?
Oh, that's easy. I definitely like the scene where, I don't know, that weird alien guy comes down, and then And then he goes, "Does this chattering animal speak for you?" And then
yeah.
And then Robert Downey Jr. just goes like, "Get lost, Squidward."
Oh yeah, the famous SpongeBob reference. That the fact that this guy Ebony Maw looks exactly like Squidward, sort of, and that just cracked me up.
I could literally not stop when I heard that.
I think I laughed for like 3 minutes straight. And a lot of people in the theater when I was seeing it was like, "Quiet down there." I mean, I'm guessing that same thing happened to you.
Not really.
Oh.
Even though there was a stranger right next to me.
Out. Yeah, I mean, I think the same thing happened with me too. I think, actually, if I remember correctly, I don't know if it was Infinity War or Incredibles 2, but there was one movie where I actually bumped right into a doctor of my, that I actually visited in the outside world, whatever, and him and me saw the movie at the same time, and I don't think that was Infinity War. I think it was Incredibles 2. But I gotta say, that movie just blew my mind, and I am so excited to see what happens in Avengers Endgame, which takes place right after the events of Infinity War. Now, depending on how many years it takes place after that, there's been rumors that it's going to take place 5 years after Infinity War, but I don't think that's possible, because even in the trailer, when Tony Stark is saying that that he just left Titan and he ran out of food like 4 days ago or something, he said 4 days, not 4 years. So there's no, and he doesn't even look like he's changed at all since that battle. So there's no way it could possibly take place 4 years or after that. But yeah, I gotta say, number 2 for me would be Infinity War.
And number 2 for me is my favorite horror film of the year, A Quiet Place. Now, the concept looked very interesting, so I was definitely going for it, but then at the same time, when I saw that Platinum Dunes logo, their movies aren't very good. I'm afraid what's going to happen. But no, this movie impressed me so much. It was so emotional. It was so deep with its story and characters. And this is starring and directed by a guy who's mostly known for comedy. I can say, if any of you saw the movie Get Out last year, which I'm pretty sure you did, that was directed by Jordan Peele of Key and Peele, and he was also known for, and it was just really surprising for him to direct that film and being so phenomenal. This, I can say, is this year's Get Out. It's definitely a film, basically judging, it's called A Quiet Place. It's a movie that you basically want to be quiet throughout the entire movie, because definitely expect a lot of tense moments happening, because there are quite a few. And for the most part, I was genuinely really surprised by it. It's emotional. It is very deep with its story. I can say that it's by far one of the best horror movie experiences of my life, and definitely check it out.
And finally, for our number ones, me personally, since this is the only one I actually saw that I have left on my list, I would have to go with Black Panther. And the reason why both of us think it probably beats Infinity War is because this is the first time that they did a movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe where the main protagonist is not only another race and in a different country, but I mean, I honestly never knew there was a character of Black Panther in the comics, and I honestly thought they just made it up from the Pink Panther. Honestly, that's in my opinion. But no, I thought the way they did Black Panther was pretty interesting, especially because he showed up in Civil War, or whatever, just like Ant-Man and all these other new characters did. And I gotta say, the fact that the origin story for Black Panther was basically regarding from his father. I mean, because his father did show up in Civil War, but I mean, obviously he died after that, and how the Black Panther origin story came into the MCU was, and I kind of like how they ended the movie though, about how they finally decided to share their technology with the world, specifically the Avengers. Whatever, because you even see in a scene in Infinity War where his in charge security guard lady said, "This is not what I imagined," and he said, "What did you imagine?" And then she just mentions modern things that we know today, like Starbucks and the Olympics. I mean, what was your favorite part about Black Panther besides those?
I don't know, but speaking of Get Out, Daniel Kaluuya, I forgot what his last name was. He's also in the movie.
Oh, in Black Panther?
Yeah, which I did not know until I watched the movie. I wouldn't really necessarily say I have a favorite part of the movie because I really haven't been keeping track. But all I can say is that I was definitely entertained throughout a lot of the movie. I can say it's definitely one of the best in the MCU. It's probably my favorite MCU film of the year. I definitely need to rewatch it though because the only time I saw it was in the theater, which was 10 months ago. But that I'm also planning on getting for Christmas. But for the most part, I can say Black Panther was definitely a satisfying film.
Especially, and it did actually kind of help one specific actor in the movie, Michael B. Jordan's career. Because I remember there was one movie he appeared in 2 years prior that we both thought was totally not good, and it was kind of a ripoff from the ones that were released way before it. And I'm not going to say the name because I know he kind of gets upset with this specific one. Well, it's related to that word. If you can like switch the word,
it's a meme now. People know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, if you could recognize that meme he was talking about, then you know which movie we're talking about. But
but hey, at least he was in Creed.
Yeah, and the character he played in Black Panther did kind of help him a lot after that whole terrible thing with the other movie, and I gotta say, he did a really good job in Black Panther as technically the antagonist, because in the other one he was considered a protagonist, but I think he does better as an antagonist than he would as a protagonist. So for number one for me, I would say Black Panther.
Now, number one for me is probably going to be a big surprise. I don't think any of you would probably think I would put this at number one. Since it's a documentary film, yes, I'm putting a documentary film, and that is Won't You Be My Neighbor. Really, this movie it really hit me hard, and you know the show Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood that we all watched as a kid, and it just showed a lot of stuff that have happened that I did not know about Mr. Rogers until I watched the film. Like, a lot of the stuff, it doesn't really have to do with just like, I'm teaching your ABCs, like, hey, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or no, it showed a lot of emotion to it. I didn't really feel like I was watching a documentary. I felt like I was watching a film, a regular, normal film. And the way they got these clips when, you know, Mr. Rogers was still dead at the time, it was just really impressive. I mean, it showed a lot of stuff, like they mentioned assassination in a show, and and stuff like that. It just really it was both shocking but very intriguing. And knowing that all that stuff, I mean, Mr. Rogers definitely was my childhood. I remember watching when I was younger. I haven't watched it in a really long time, but when watching this film, I can truly say that it just impressed me in so many ways, and I'm glad that I got to see it. And fun fact, there's actually going to be a straight up regular film where Tom Hanks plays Mr. Rogers. That's what I've heard of. But I don't know, my number one for me would definitely have to go with Won't You Be My Neighbor.
So, that's basically each of our 6 movies that we saw this year that we thought were the best out of all of them.
At least for the first half.
Yeah, the first half of the year between January and June. And we will both be doing a video for the whole year afterwards. And we're going to redo the rankings on what we thought was best and what was good. And we might do one together at the end of the year. We might not, depending on where we are. Like I heard he might be going on vacation around the Christmas time, so I don't know if he'll be back in time for us to do the video. But we'll figure it out. But there are some other videos he'll be showing up in the recent week for my channel. We'll be doing a review for when we see the Bumblebee prequel, which we saw on Rotten Tomatoes how they immediately gave it 100%, and how technically, since it's not directed by Michael Bay, we are both curious to see how this movie's going to turn out. So we will both do our review on my channel, and he might do a separate one on his. But we will show you our thoughts, and there's one other video that we will probably be uploading right after this one But as always, I'm Matthew Bailey.
And I'm Matthew Davis, Media.
And we will see all you dudes in the next video.